What's up, my brothers from another mother? We got a requested topic today from a gentleman who wants to get married for a second time and is looking for some advice from yours truly. So let's hop straight into this and provide this guy with some feedback. He says, "Hey, Rich, thank you for your videos. Please keep my identity private. I'd like to seek your input and advice. I'm a single dad, early 40s." High-level professional making 300,000 to 400,000 income pre-tax and have a pretty expensive set of assets, it sounds. All right, so this guy is top 1%. The only thing that makes your value a little bit lower is you have, I guess, a child in tow. There it is. My one child is under 10. And I would like to remarry and have more children. I am of Eastern culture and have a family-oriented personality, and because of my religious and cultural background, having family makes the most sense in my community and lifestyle. All right. My first marriage was to another professional. That's probably where you went wrong. Listen, a lot of guys have done this, let's get married to a professional, because we've been sold a lie, the narrative of, men and women are equal is what we've been told, right? By the way, guys, if you want these mugs, you can grab them down in the Teespring store below. Men and women are equal. We can all do the same. We're as strong as each other. There's no differences, even though most of you guys by now that have any semblance of intelligence in your head know that that's not particularly accurate. Men and women are in fact quite different and complementary, and that's not a bad thing. But what you'll find when you get involved with professional women, and I have my red flag chapter. What I'll do is I'll put a card up on the top right. I'll let it pop up over here, but it's always pinned in the top comments of all my videos. If you haven't opted into my email list, get that. One of the red flags that I talk about on that free chapter that I'm giving out is specifically, don't get involved with women that compete with you. And what you'll find is if you get involved with a professional, they are generally going to try to compete with you. My car's better than yours. My job's better than yours. I got a promotion before you did. You'll start to see that. It doesn't happen all the time, but professional women and competing with you, they usually go hand in hand. And the problem with it is, because of hypergamy, women want to date and marry up. They don't go across or down, generally speaking. They will settle on a cross if they have to, but they prefer to go up. It's either across and up with preference to up. So if you've got a professional woman who makes as much money as you do, let's say, or close to it, you're going to run into some problems with that. And let's unfold what happened over here with this gentleman. But my first marriage failed because of heavily family interference and manipulation on both sides. That's another big problem too. And by the way, guys, that's something you should all see long before you book a wedding venue or anything like that. You see them trying to impose all of their beliefs and values on you. That is a big red flag, and that's a get the hell out of there. All right. That is something that you should all be familiar with by now. Anyway, so Eastern European culture, family-oriented, first marriage. Okay, my marriage failed because of heavily family interference and manipulation on both sides. Plus, we fought a lot because she dominated the relationship with her aggressive personality and dictated our choices. Gee, what did I just say about professional women? Okay, stay away from women that get into positions of power. Let's use this example. Some of you may or may not heard this term, but the pen is mightier than the sword. It's not. The sword, I have a sword on my wall. There's no way that somebody coming at me with a pen could defend themselves from a sword-wielding defender. So it is not mightier except in today's world. And I'll explain why. You get a woman that gets into law, for example, let's say, and she becomes a lawyer. Yes, in many cases, they will believe that the pen is mightier than the sword because they can, script up legal verbiage, force contract, not force contracts, because that's of course called duress, but, force these one-sided contracts in such a way that, yes, the pen can be deemed mightier than the sword. Like, there are small, fragile women that weigh 100 pounds soaking wet sitting in law firms right now that can draft up an agreement that can change the entire course of a corporate entity, family dynamic, if it's family law, anything. So there's that dynamic with the bossiness that you'll often see with professional women. So anyway, you got divorced from this bossy woman with an interfering family, and they fought a lot because of her aggressive personality and choices. Anyway, fortunately, there was a limited financial damage from the divorce because we made similar income. Now, I've said this before in a video. I did a video, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago when I first became familiar with the concept of hypergamy. And I said to guys, look, if you're going to get involved with women in a long-term relationship or a marriage or live in a way that's viewed as a marriage by the state, don't do it with women that are well below you. I said, use hypergamy to your advantage. Try to find somebody that's as close to you as possible. Now, it's a double-edged sword. The positive side of that is if you get married to someone like that, the financial fallout is usually quite a bit lower. The senior VP accountant at a corporate firm making $250,000, $350,000 a year that wifed up the hairdresser that stayed home for 7 years, got bored after a couple of kids and decided she wanted to go start hanging out with her girlfriends and partying again. That's going to cause a lot more damage for that guy versus the guy that, again, made $350,000 a year and married up a lawyer that was making $275,000 a year. The fallout financially is going to be considerably less. On the downside, though, you are going to deal with some problems with professional women when it comes to their you'll see this on Instagram. If you go search on Instagram, #bossgirl, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So he got out of that without too much financial damage, but I have been lingering scars and fears for several years now, as you should. That is your intuition telling you to pay attention to what the hell happened and how to potentially avoid getting into that problem again. So I've had a couple long-term relationships since. One was with someone who was a very money hungry, but I kept it somewhat hidden. I set up a real tough prenup for her, and things were ended after she realized she was going to get nothing from me. Good for you, dude. Bro, slow clap. Let's all just take a quick moment to give this guy a nice little slow clap. I love that. Good. That's something that you should mention early on. One of my most popular videos on the channel is 3 tests that you should give women. And one of them that you should give early on, if you're a guy like this that's hell-bent on getting married, and you guys already know my position, I'm vehemently opposed to marriage or living in a way that looks like marriage to the state. I've had so many requests from guys asking me to help them with this, or I've booked coaching calls with them. Up over here, if you guys want to book me, you can do that. It's always pinned in the comment. But I'm definitely going to have to put out a course in the future on how to do it while minimizing the risk and going through some pretty significant steps to make sure that you protect yourself and your assets, and to make sure that the potential for a bad outcome is significantly reduced. You're never going to completely eliminate it, but that's something that I know that there's an appetite for. So even though I'm against marriage, I'll help you guys out so you don't screw up your lives. So get on that email list, because that's where you're going to hear about it first. So she bounced after the prenup. The second was another professional who broke it off because she disliked my lifestyle as a single dad and shared custody and demanding work schedule, and felt that she wasn't the center of my attention. Ooh, women's solipsism gets in the way of that relationship. I see. Okay. That's not particularly uncommon. You'll see a lot of guys, one of the biggest complaints a lot of guys have when they're older and divorced and they still have their shit together is there's actually women with 2, 3, sometimes 4 kids in tow from sometimes multiple fathers that think that they deserve to even date a guy that doesn't have kids because they want him to put up with her offspring, but they don't want to put up with his, which is basically the very definition of women's solipsism. And all that solipsism is they can't see past their own noses, right? So she broke it off because she wanted to be the center of attention. Surprise, surprise. Shocking. I have met someone who's very kind and agreeable to my wishes and life. She passed several tests, helped me clean my home, cooks for me, is very kind to my kid, and contributes based on her income level. She is an addition to my life, doesn't lead it. She seems very kind and nice. My concerns are, 1, she comes from a family who is very accepting of divorce, and many of them having been divorced at least once, including her parents, though it happened very young age for her and she wasn't exposed to trauma. And 2, her income is only about $60K. And we live in a community property U.S. state. Ooh, okay, here's where it gets interesting. I have been bitten before, so I want to be careful. I plan to get a prenup, but it's a rough path because that just damages a relationship. No, it doesn't, dude. Let's talk about prenups again. You should have a prenup and a postnup with any woman that you're going to get involved in an intimate basis. I mean, if you want to have kids like this guy is, I get it. It's biological. You want it. Fine. I'm not going to say anything about that. By all means, do as you wish, but understand that you are walking into a slaughterhouse, and this guy gets it. He's just trying to minimize the potential fallout of what could potentially happen in that slaughterhouse. So it doesn't ruin the relationship. Any woman that says that prenup is going to ruin the relationship or you don't love me is telling you straight up the main reason why she is with you is for access to your resources. She wants a security blanket of getting half your shit if stuff does not work out. So a prenup is a mandatory thing in my view, and a postnup. And what that means is she signs a prenup before the wedding. She signs a postnup after the wedding, confirming that what you both agreed to before you had your nuptials is still accurate and true. This is a little secret that most people don't tell you. So you have the postnup. The other thing that you have to understand is prenups are only so good for so long. Like, they lose their value over time. So if what you're planning to do is have a couple more kids, she doesn't make any money anyway, compared to you. So she's a very low income earner. So you're going to want to pop out a couple kids, have her stay home and raise them, obviously, would seem to be your strategy. I mean, you come across to me as more like a patriarch, right? So great, good for you, awesome. And if she's agreeable to that and you've had discussions and said, you want to have a couple more kids and you want her to stay home and look after them, prenup, postnup, and then what you're going to do is after about 3 to 5 years, conditions are going to change. She's obviously not going to be working anymore. Her skill set's going to decrease. You need another nuptial agreement signed and updated because they lose value over time. So you're going to have to let her know this is something that's going to have to happen on an ongoing basis, and it's there to protect you and your assets, and to make sure that your first child from your first marriage doesn't get left out in the cold, because that does happen. So that's what it's there for. You can't contract out of child support when it comes to prenuptial agreements, and depending on what your lawyer is going to say in your state, and you should get some clarity on that and what state law says, you may even want to consider moving to a more father-friendly state, which would be another option. But depending on what that says, you can almost certainly protect your assets for the most part. So just understand what you're walking into with what family law says over there. Talk to a family lawyer about that before you do anything. Okay, I've been bitten. It's a rough path because it damages a relationship. No, it doesn't. We just talked about that. Also, drafting a tough prenup can fail in court with potential of huge damage given our income differences. Not if you just do those 3 things that I explained there. Basically, I want a fulfilling married life, willing to protect her future, but afraid of high-risk things that fall apart. Yeah, okay, so this here, brother, is a blue pill conditioning thing. I want a fulfilling married life. Whenever I hear shit like that, I automatically go, all right, here we go. He's still reverting back to the Disney-esque, old school conditioning that most guys believe in, that ends up in a lot of problems in their married lives or their relationships on a long-term basis, especially when they have kids. So there are no unicorns. There is no perfect one woman. There's good women, there's bad women, there's some that are just better than the others, and that's all that you have to understand. But you need to see, with marriage, you can plot it out on a map, and I can show you where all the minefields are. We've talked about some of them here. And what you can do is you can traverse through that map, not stepping on the minefields, knowing where they are. Again, we've talked about some of them, so be intelligent about that stuff. Get the red flag chapter, make sure you fully vet this chick. And there's some things that you can do to limit the risk, which I, of course, mentioned once you talk to a family lawyer. But don't approach it from, I just want a fulfilling, happy married life. What that usually means for most guys is, I'm going to have reliable, consistent access to sex from her. It'll be the crazy monkey stuff that we always have right now. It's never going to change. Her priorities are going to change when the kids come along, dude. They're just not going to be the same. You may not be as fulfilled now as you are when kids enter the picture. A lot of women's behavior doesn't only change towards their partner, their husband, but it also changes towards their approach to life. They certainly put a lot more emphasis on the children. Women, by their nature, you'll notice a lot of guys that spend time on the divorce forums believe that they own the kids because they birthed the child. They think that it's theirs. I had a conversation last night with a guy, great guy, really nice dude, very successful senior airline pilot. And he needs to get permission from his ex-wife to see his kids, and it's often supervised. And for no other reason than because she did it, because she knew that she could benefit from it on the tail end if she was the custodial caregiver and had access to the kids for the most part. And that would make sure that all the money and control was in her power. So you are walking into a slaughterhouse. I think I've covered all of the main points for you. So I really hope that that offers some assistance. I mean, if you want to talk further, it seems like you've got pretty strong income. If you want to book me for one-on-one coaching, we can get into some more in-depth on it and see if there's other things that might be sitting in your blind spot that you didn't mention here that we can pick up on in some one-on-one. So let me know. That's pinned in the bottom comment. If you want to get one of these videos requested, you can go here, put a card up on the top right. You just basically fill this out, make your PayPal donation, and I'll record it and send it back to you. Be patient though, guys. Sometimes it takes me a couple weeks to get it done. And if you haven't joined my men's community, also up, card on the top right, up over here. Click that, open it up, land on this page, and you'll see how it all works. I've also got business tiers for entrepreneurs as well, but consider joining that. And we will see you guys in the next video. Also, if you haven't done so already, leave a comment below for this gentleman. Let him know what you think. It's a very difficult predicament to be in, especially in the United States, in a state that's openly hostile towards men. So do all those things, and hope that helps. We'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.